Starting and growing your business doesn't have to be difficult. It's all about creating the right plan, foundation, processes, procedures, and having the right mindset. Welcome to the CEO Hustler Show, the podcast dedicated to help you start, grow, and decipher your entrepreneur, interpreting, and translation business. I am your host, Faviola Valencia. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and started my business from the ground up, but also turned it into a six-figure business in under 3 months. And together, you and I, we are going to get your business on the right track so that you can enjoy the journey, but also earn your worth and get the right plan in motion. So let's get ready to boss up and rise, starting now. Hey hustlers, welcome back to another episode in the CEO Hustler Show. Today we are going to talk about what do we do when clients won't pay. This is a very, very touchy subject, especially for those of you who are struggling to start, grow, and run a business. Do you agree? Because we all know that starting a business, it doesn't have to be difficult, but at the same time, it does create a lot of challenges that many of you need to be prepared before you jump into the entrepreneurship journey. So early on in my business, 20 years ago, one of the things that I realized, especially in my industry, the interpreting industry, and I think it goes with any type of business, that we start a business with the hopes and dreams that everything's going to be fine and dandy, that everything's going to work out, that we're not going to have any financial hardships, that we're not going to have any ups or downs. Well, let me tell you, that is so far from the truth. Okay. So one of the things that you have to keep in mind, basically, is that every business, I don't care whether you're a startup business, $1 million business, an 8-figure business, I don't care where you're at. We all have ups and downs. We all have trials and tribulations, financial hardships, unforeseen circumstances that at some point in time will affect our business. So if you go in it with a mindset that, oh my gosh, no, nothing's ever going to happen to me, then let me tell you, that is a bunch of BS. Because every successful business at some point or another is going to suffer these unforeseen circumstances. So one of the things that I learned very early on with my business is, you know what? I tried as much as I could to prepare myself. But again, we don't hold this crystal ball to know when things are going to happen or when these challenges will occur. And so there's so many factors that play into it. But if I wanted to be successful with my agency, then I needed to basically kind of take a step back, analyze my business, and put myself in the client's shoes to see, okay, would I like to be treated that way? Would I like to be blasted or talked about in that manner? No. And so not many people think the same way. So, starting my business as a corporate business, having the agency, everything was great. Everything was flourishing. The money was coming in. The business was coming in. The payments were going out. Everything was going great I want to say, for the first good 8 years, until the economy crashed. Yes, the economy crashed. And unfortunately, I think everybody, not just myself, we were all scrambling and trying to get our clients to pay us. Businesses were shutting down. Things, were going from worse to worse. So I learned so much throughout that recession that moving forward, one of the things that I implemented and that I changed, because I realized, that No matter how much you harass a client, no matter how much you bash them online or bash them at all, or you harass them, you threaten them, if they don't freaking have it, they don't have it. So you're spending all this time and energy, blasting people, talking smack about people, when you can focus on using that energy in doing something else. So that is what I did when the economy crashed. I was getting bombarded. I was getting bashed. I was being humiliated. I was being threatened, harassed. Until this day, it still haunts me. But what do I do? Do I sit there and cry, or do I get up, boss up and rise, and keep on moving forward? And instead of stressing out on the coulda, shoulda, but I didn't, or worrying about these hateful people, you know what? I realized that I needed to change. And that's the bottom line. So, like I said, you are in the right place. If you want to hear real life tips, real life 411, no bullshit, no gimmicks, no nonsense. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. And pardon my French. I am not, because that's not what life does. Life comes at us left, right, uppercut, jab, and you have a choice. You have a choice to keep on going, or you have a choice to sit down and cry and say, poor me, poor me. So back to, what do we do when clients pay? Sorry, I rambled off into something else, but it's the real life situations. So for me, one of the strategies that I incorporated into my business, rather than having to deal with what do I do when they don't pay, I restructured everything to where, like I said in my previous podcast, is that sometimes we are afraid to incorporate certain processes or procedures or methods or systems or strategies, whatever you want to call it, because we're afraid of losing clients, or we're afraid that we're not going to get the client because we implement these things. Well, that is so far, that is a lie, and that is so far from the truth, because, at the end of the day, by creating the right processes and procedures the right way, believe it or not, if the client loves what you do, knows who you are, knows that you're professional, ethical, and that you can provide the services, they are not going to push you to the sidelines and say, no, I'm not going to hire you because you now implemented these procedures. No. But believe it or not, it has worked for me ever since the recession, by me creating and implementing these procedures. One, I no longer have to hassle my clients for payments. Or two, I don't no longer have to worry about, okay, am I going to get paid for this service or not? Three, if they really want my services, then you know what? They are going to adhere to my processes and procedures, my terms and conditions. Therefore, for those of you that are in the service business, one, make sure that you are very clear in your terms and conditions with regards to what your payment method is, or the payment methods that you accept. What is your process? How do you work? And what are you expecting in return? So what do I mean by that? So for example, when a client calls me and tells me, okay, you know what, I need you for X amount of hours, or for the day, that's all great and dandy. On my terms and conditions, on my disclaimer, I let them know, hey, I am available, I can provide the services, this is what I'm going to charge, but this is what I expect from you, or what I want from you. So when I lay down very clearly, believe it or not, one, they'll pay. Two, they accept. Three, I provide the services. And four, everyone is happy. Five, I don't have to chase down my money. No. So if that makes sense, if that is something that you want to implement into your business, make sure that you hop over to my Marketing Like a Boss for Entrepreneurs, and let's dive in. Let's create those processes, those terms, those conditions, so that you, one, no longer have to worry about why clients are not paying, why you have to be, harassing them or chasing them down and stressing out because the money's not coming in, or stressing out because now, you can't pay this or pay that because you're worrying about how you're going to make it to the next day. And I see this time and time again on so many groups where, a lot of you are basically complaining about that. That is the one complainer where it's like, okay, I'm not getting paid what I should be getting paid. I'm not getting paid on time, where I'm having to wait 30, 45, 60, 90, even 120 days or more. Well, if you don't have the right terms and conditions, if you didn't set these steps into play, or if you didn't agree, then you know what? You can't cry about it. You can't complain about it. And many of you guys are doing that. So stop it, please. Make sure that you have all of these processes implemented. Make sure that it's in writing because, like I said earlier on, the only thing that we can do is have things in writing, create these processes, and set the terms and conditions so that we don't have to worry about it. And and even when you have these things in place, there things are still going to happen, because if the client doesn't have it, the client doesn't have it. That's the bottom line. I mean, just last month, I had a client who was begging me to, do some work for him. And I know he's always late in his payments. I did the prepayment terms at first, and then kind of basically gave him the benefit of the doubt. It's like, okay, can you set me on terms? And I said yes. And so for the first few months, he was paying on time. But then something happened. Last month, it's like, okay, I'll pay you next week. And 45 days have gone by, and the week hasn't came through. And I'm not going to sit here and bash them and complain or waste my energy. It's like, okay, I'll send the reminders, but I'm basically getting prepared to write it off. And that's just basically the risk that we take when we go into business. That's something that you need to understand. And if you're basically in business and relying on every penny that comes in, that you are doing it the wrong way. I'm telling you right now, because shit will happen, believe it or not. And no matter how much we put into play, things will happen. So you have to prepare, and you cannot rely on every single penny that you think that's going to be coming in. I saw in this private group where this gal, she was starting her business coaching business, and she basically created these monthly plans, and this was her first customer. And the first couple of months, the customer was paying on time. And then come the third month, she's basically blasting it on some of the groups online, on Facebook groups, saying, oh my gosh, the client hasn't paid me and I'm depending on this money. And if she doesn't pay me, I won't be able to pay my rent. And this, no, you can't do that. Especially when you're first starting on. I'm telling you right now that you know what, you need to have different source of income. If you're relying on one source of income, again, you're doing it the wrong way. So you're probably wondering, like, Fabiola, you didn't answer the question, what do we do when clients won't pay? I actually did. You don't do anything. You send reminders, okay? You put strategies in place. You create your plans. You create your terms and conditions, and you create a plan to where you don't have to worry about dealing on why clients are not paying you. By creating these other procedures, by using the method that I use, you get prepaid. Yes, they prepay you for your services. And so, want to learn more? Jump on over to my Marketing Like a Boss for Entrepreneurs. Like this episode, make sure that you like it, and let's continue to boss up and rise.